Physical attraction being a barrier to a great woman. Dear Hamza, I've been seeing a girl for the past week. We met twice so far, each time spending around 5 hours together. She has super desirable traits. She wants to be a stay at home mom, reads, draws, and isn't really on social media. Very nice. She doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't take any kind of drugs. When we talked, I also noticed that I could really influence her life in a good way. Just after the first time we met, she asked me to bring a book for her to read, which I told her about. Sounds like an awesome girl. But here's the problem. I just don't find her physically appealing to me. No matter how much I try to cope, that personality is more important than looks, which in itself is true. I realize that the lack of physical attractiveness still plays a massive part. She isn't overweight or underweight or anything that could be fixed. It's just her face, honestly. Deep inside my heart, it would not feel right to pursue her, even though she has a desirable personality in many ways, simply because I don't find her physically attractive at all. So what would your advice be? I'm sure that with your experience, you can give me insights or advice that I wouldn't be able to think of myself. Let's read the comments first, and then I'll tell you my advice. So Joab says, damn, I had this exact same thing happen to me. In my opinion, if you can't authentically love her, you shouldn't pursue her. There are plenty of women who have what you're looking for internally and externally. Top G's replied and said, it has happened to me. How do you know if you love someone authentically? Could your mind change over time? That's a good. And Joab said, I don't think so. I was dating this girl for about 4 months and it just wasn't there. She wasn't even unattractive. She looked good, just not in my eyes. Anton said, you don't deserve to be a woman that you can't get yourself to love, and she doesn't deserve to be a man that doesn't love her. If you don't feel any sparks, you shouldn't try to pursue the person, otherwise the relationship will only make you hate yourself. Aaron Fund said, every time you settle, you're doing yourself a disservice. First man said something along the lines of, settling makes you a bad person because at the end of the day, you know you could have done better and you start taking your frustrations on other people that don't deserve it. This is a very good point. Which in this case is this girl. Would she deserve your annoyance and anger because you didn't find her unattractive? Do you want her to do that? Everything the others said is good. I have the same situation a bit ago. One thing I will add is that you may have felt sparks when you discovered all these things about her. This is because the person you spoke to was attractive, but the person you saw wasn't. You need both. I believe these are the kinds of women that would make wonderful friends, especially when you are single. Amazing conversation because you get along so well. Real practice spending time with the kind of woman you want to attract. Opportunity to influence her for the better and expect nothing in return. Reputation building around good women. Real practice in being a gentleman. Yeah, these are good points actually. The catch is that you cannot lead her on. You need to tell her that you will not pursue anything with her and then stick to that. When those sparks inevitably fly again, you have to have the discipline not to escalate by kissing and touching. This is a very, very intelligent conversation. So let me tell you my advice, Amir, and for any other guy who's in this kind of situation where you have this girl that you could potentially get with, but she's just not that hot. There's a few things I can say about this. The few things I can say almost will contradict each other, but I just want to tell you everything that's on my mind. So the first thing was a realization that I had a few years ago where I thought of how sad it would be to get with a woman that you couldn't show off, that you didn't have the confidence to show to the world. And this, I don't think this is shallow, but what I specifically mean is if you wouldn't want to post pictures with her and to be seen in public with her, that you're not doing anyone like a favor. If you would be embarrassed if someone, took a picture of you guys and put it onto their Instagram or something, if you would be embarrassed by that, that's not like the life partner you probably want to be with. Wouldn't it be the best case scenario if you had a partner who had the awesome traits, but then you also were able to think to yourself, like, she's really fucking attractive, wow. And not for the world, but just for you. At least you think it, right? Because this is the same thing. If you think you're not attracted to a girl, which other guys are, it's the same thing. It's like, this isn't the best case scenario. Now, you're probably going to be a young man, Amir. Let's have a look if you've put your age. I think my internet's a bit slow here out in the countryside. So you're 20 years old. So this is going to sound brutal to this girl, but is this girl the best that you can get? Is her, her values and traits and stuff, are these so good that you'd be willing to sacrifice on the physical attraction? Because it might actually be a good trade-off, honestly. If she's basically wife material, if she's the kind of woman that you genuinely want to have as your wife, to have as the mother of your children, it actually could be a good idea to stay with her. Now, you've mentioned something which was quite intelligent to mention, that there isn't anything that could be fixed. It's just her face. This is going to sound black pill as fuck, but I'd even ask you, what's actually wrong with her face? Because this is the easy thing, right? If you're with a girl who is slightly unattractive because of her weight or because of her body fat or because of her physique, you can change that. Literally, all it takes is 1 year to completely change her physique. If she's too fat, get her on a calorie deficit, get her in the gym, resistance training. If she's too skinny, get her into the gym, resistance training, get her into a calorie surplus. Nice and easy. Face is harder, but the truth is lots of people have heavily improved their face, including men and women. My face is at least 2 points more attractive. Maybe even more 3 or 4 points more attractive than it was just 5-6 years ago. So it's you absolutely can improve the attractiveness on your face, and women especially can. So I'd ask, what is it about her face? Does she, is it something she can wear makeup for? Can she get better hairstyle or something? I don't know much about female looks maxing, but there's still actually a lot you can change with your face, and you can still improve. And if she has the desire for that, which she might not, but if she got into makeup, for example, if she got into, I don't know, hairstyling or some shit, she could easily become significantly more attractive. But there's another lesson that I actually want to share with you, and for the young men watching this. Attraction is a bit tricky because a large part of it comes down to our social influence. So basically, a large part of your attraction to a woman comes down to the fact that you're a pussy and you have taken on other man's attraction values for yourself. Because all of us kind of know what kind of woman is seen to be attractive, because we've watched Hollywood movies where, they portrayed this certain character to be attractive, and the same with every fucking TV show and everything. You basically know what kind of girl is conventionally attractive, and the kind of girls that go away from that are seen as less attractive. And so this means that your own brain is being influenced, even though you could actually be attracted to this girl. Basically, it seems like you want to be with this woman, but you might not want to be with her, not because you're not attracted to her, but because you know that other men aren't. If you were locked away, this is a really good question to ask. Imagine it was the apocalypse and she was with you. What then? Imagine there was no social media, internet's been cut down, whole world's been EMP'd. It's the apocalypse, or it's the caveman times. Then would you be physically attracted to her? Would your caveman dick get a rock hard erection for this 4 out of 10? Probably, right? And I know that's a weird thing to say, but probably. So is it really that she's not attractive, that you don't find her attractive? Or is it that in the modern world, you know for a fact that she wouldn't be seen as attractive by some other guys that you know, and that it would be kind of this scared thing for you to think, oh man, other guys don't think that this type of woman is attractive? If your caveman self would be attracted to her, which your caveman self would be attracted to many kinds of women, then she's probably actually attractive to you. Now, you can, this is the thing. It depends what you're also dating for as well. Because if you're dating for kind of casual fun, for ego, for the way that a lot of men date, then you don't want to be with a woman like this. If you're dating for the kind of woman that you want to have, just to show off in your Instagram pictures, and you want to bring this beautiful woman on your arm to parties and whatever. But then usually, if I'm honest, that kind of woman is very unintelligent. This is no offense to them, but when you look at those high status men, when they're surrounded by women, most of those women, not all of them, some of them are actually quite intelligent, educated women, but most of those pretty, really beautiful women aren't actually very intelligent. And so it's not that they're bad people, but just that that kind of woman is nice to have for fun, like a toy, basically, not for the mother of your children. So it seems like you found a woman who would be an awesome mother of your children, and maybe even partner. It's just this thing. So you've got to think of, sometimes you need a bit of a trade-off. Are you going to have a woman who's more risky, who's less desirable to be the mother of your children, but she's simply just more beautiful? Or do you want to have a woman who's less beautiful, but then she'd be a better mother for your children and she'd be a better partner for you and she'd stay at home more and she wouldn't go and party with the girls and stuff? For me personally, I'd definitely choose the right hand side. And if you can find the girl who you're really attracted to, who you can have an awesome sex life with anyway, then that's the best case scenario. What you don't want is to change the role of the woman. So basically, you need to understand what you're currently looking for, because you don't want to put the wrong woman, or like, a woman in the wrong position. You don't want to get that kind of woman who looks great in Instagram pictures, who, you want to hold her arm when you go into the party or some shit, but she's not going to be a good mother. You don't want to get her and then be serious with her and then try and make her like get onto self-improvement. Like, what happens to every guy when he's on self-improvement in high school and college and shit, and he's trying to get that little like dumbass Jessica over there onto self-improvement, and she's just coping, pretending to meditate and stuff, but then she's still a Jessica degenerate. You don't want to take a woman and put her into the wrong bucket. This woman is in the bucket of like stay-at-home mother for your children. If you kept her that way, this could be one of the greatest things in your life. This could be like, she could become one of the greatest assets in your life. And I'm not going to say this is shallow or anything, because I don't think this is. I think physical attraction is very important. I just wonder if you're trying to mix her into two different buckets at once, because it's like, if you can have the woman who looks beautiful out in public in the pictures and stuff, but also would be a great mother, then fucking secure it ASAP. That's exactly what I did. When you have a woman that you're really attracted to, but you also think to yourself, she's healthy as fuck, like she knows more things about health and fertility and all these random things like toxins and everything than I do. She's not going to get like cancer. She's not going to pass on some weird disease to my children or anything. She's going to be a good like stay-at-home mother. She's going to basically spend all of her day with her kids because she's that kind of girl like already. When you find that, that's amazing. And it seems like you actually have. The final lesson I just want to teach you is something I've learned from The Way of the Superior Man. So like spiritual dating advice. Physical attraction, like basically how someone looks, is only one part of what attracts us to each other. The more important part is the sexual energy that we both have. So most men will only look at basically how attractive a girl is in pictures. Like that's it. That's what we'll think about. Because when she's by your side, you know that that's kind of hidden from the world. And again, you're not as strong as you think you are. You're heavily influenced by what you assume other people will think about your partner. But there's probably a more important part of attraction, which is the sexual energy. So basically what this means is you don't only think about how good she looks, but you think about how compatible your sexual energy pulls you towards each other. Do you get into your masculine energy in that sort of goal-striving, strong kind of way, in a way that you really like when you're around her? Do you feel like the man, the protector around her? Because, think about it. This is a weird advice, but I really think you'll appreciate this for guys who are in this situation. Wouldn't you prefer to be with a woman who you feel like the man around, like you feel like the protector, masculine, strong, and everything, and she's less at like she looks worse, but you actually feel fucking awesome. You feel like caveman attracted to her, compared to a woman who looks better, who looks like like hot in Instagram pictures, but you actually feel almost like a little boy around her because she's got such high status. She almost bosses you around. You feel a bit like insecure around her, anxious around her. She's sometimes snappy with you, hardened with you. Your sex life with the first woman would actually be infinitely better, but it's just something that you'd basically have to keep in private because the other girl looks better publicly in pictures. The truth is, like, men are waking up and men are realizing, like, having that, like, this was basically all men's dream over the last 100 years or even thousands of years, was having the most pretty woman by your side. And so many men these days are realizing, like, you don't just want the pretty, like, the guy who, like, the influencer or whatever fuck, like, who walks in with the pretty women. So many men instantly just see through the bullshit with that these days and just think to themselves, like, either one, you're not paying them, you're not directly sending them money, but you've paid for the entire trip, so you are like a bit of a loser in that sense. Like, would they be here if they had to pay for their own trip here, for their own like flights and accommodation? Probably not. But two, it's like a lot of those women, men are realizing that they're not actually that desirable. Those kinds of women that you see, many of them, not all, I'm not being like, some salty hater who's not invited to the party, because many of them are going to be amazing women. But many of the women who are in that kind of like scene of like, looking really hot on Instagram, many of those kinds of women can be absolutely insufferable to be around. They can be just annoying. That basically that kind of woman that you see on Instagram, there's multiple men out there right now that are currently just fucking tired of her shit. So like multiple men. And that also, like, that word multiple kind of explains things further as well. Those kinds of women who are hot on Instagram, like what the fuck do you think? They're monogamous. They're gonna just stay with one man. They're not gonna be posting pictures of themselves anymore and getting messages from guys. Is that the kind of relationship you would want? Imagine having a household where you're definitely like in a real relationship with a woman who's still posting like sexy Instagram pictures, and she just won't stop. And she won't stop putting on like fucking estrogenic perfume, and she wants to go and take the Instagram picture and shit. And like men are sending her messages. It's like you've got this castle that you've built, which is your family and your home life, and your woman is there constantly opening up the fucking front gate of it. Many women who have social media live lives like that. And so it's like you might have a pretty like princess. You might have the most beautiful princess. But if she keeps fucking opening up the gate of your castle to enemies, maybe life is better without her. How much will you be a slave to like the physical appearance of a woman compared to the woman who would genuinely hold it down for you? Because I believe that as long as you have the real sexual energy like match with a woman, you're actually really attracted to her. It's just that the social influence has changed you. So I'd ask you and Mia to just figure out which one it is for you. If your dick gets hard from this woman, and if you feel like the man around her, and if you can see that she feels like a little girl, like a feminine girl around you, you're going to have a great sex life, and you're also going to have like a great marriage and raise children in a healthy way. Like you said, she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't take any kind of drugs. Would you rather have a woman who was 3 points higher out of 10, but she like drank once during pregnancy? But she keeps posting Instagram pictures where she looks really hot and she likes the attention that she gets from guys, but she says it's fine. You've got to make that decision for yourself. Many boys choose that kind of woman who's more of a headache just because they're often less certain of themselves, and they know that like looking good on Instagram for them, like basically the kind of boy who takes on that girl who's constantly posting pictures where she looks good because she knows that men are attracted to her. That kind of boy is the same version of her. That boy is posting content of both of them because he knows that makes him look good to other girls. You don't want to be with these fucking immature, like insufferable boy and girls who aren't even committed to the relationship. They're basically both using each other for social status, and then they both want messages from other people. Doesn't sound like you're like that. You're in a self-improvement community here asking this question. You've taken part in our calls and everything. I really can't imagine you're going to be like that. For anyone else who's watching this, you can come and join our community. So this is Adonis School. This is kind of like the private paid beta version, which has got all the courses, classroom section. It's got all the calls with me, live calls, lectures, everything that we do here, guest calls with a bunch of huge level people. We had Ali Abdal last week. We had my detox coach who has also coached Iman Gadji and Alex Becker. We had Mike Thurston on a call. We had Dan Coe, the business legend. We had Leon Hendricks, the YouTuber. We had loads of people come in. We even had Charlie Morgan and Sam Ovens last month as well. If you want to join Adonis School, that's a paid program. It's linked below. And the free version of this is called Adonis Gang. Adonis Gang doesn't have like any of the calls with me or courses or anything. It's just got like the community section, and that's like for free. It's linked below as well. So if you want to come in and ask a question and everything, you can join either of these two programs. You can go and do that right now. Mwah.